So back when Marvel announced Phase 4, they also spoke about a whole load of new projects that would be coming exclusively to Disney Plus in the form of TV shows. And while I spoke about those shows back then, since then we've had an announcement of a few more shows that have joined the Disney Plus Marvel lineup, and I haven't actually done a ranking video where I ranked them from my least anticipated to my most anticipated like I did with the movies and like I recently did with the DC films. So that's what I want to do in this video, is rank all 8 of the upcoming Marvel Disney Plus series from my least anticipated to my most anticipated. So let's jump into it. So hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Deck, and if you enjoy talking about movies and TV in any way, shape or form, you're going to feel right at home here. In today's video, as I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to be ranking all 8 of the upcoming Marvel Disney Plus series from my least anticipated to my most anticipated, and this is just including all the shows that we know of that are coming to Disney Plus officially. So with all out of the way and all that stated, of course, please remember that this is just my own personal opinion. This is just the ones that I'm most looking forward to, and also make sure you leave your own list in the comments down below. I can't wait to discuss this with you guys in the comment section down below. So with all that said, let's jump into the ranking. Kicking off at the bottom of my list is What If. Now this is the animated series that is coming to Disney Plus, and it's basically a concept that exists in the comics of what if this, what if this happened? What if Black Panther became Star-Lord? What if Peggy Carter became Captain America? It's just these completely random ideas that they can come up with on the spot and just make a little mini animated episode about. And it's a really cool idea. It's a really interesting one. It exists in the comics. We've seen that for years now. And, we've even seen it, DC has their own equivalent with it with their Elseworld storylines. There is precedent for this in the comics, and it's a really strong idea. The reason why it's at the bottom of my list, however, is just because I find the animation style from what we've seen of it to not be the most appealing, and also it's just I am a lot more excited about the other shows that are going on that are actually connected to the larger Marvel universe as opposed to this little side thing, which is going to be really cool and really fun and really different. It just doesn't get me as excited as these other shows do. Coming in at number 7, we have Loki. Loki, for me, out of all the live action ones, was easily the least excited out of all of them I was, because for me, as much as I like Loki as a character, I think he's great, I certainly don't have the same love for him that a lot of people do, and also, I just don't really know if I care to see a Loki series. I was really happy with Loki's ending in Infinity War. I thought that was a really good death for him, and obviously it was fun to see him again in Endgame, but when he kind of escaped from Endgame and now we have him being a villain again and having this weird spin-off show, I just don't really know if I care too much about it. Out of all the Thor characters to get a spin-off, Loki wasn't really the one I was hoping. And I feel like that this idea of a Loki series just doesn't appeal to me personally. The Thor movies, especially in the early parts of the Thor franchise, the first 2 movies, aren't exactly my favorites in the MCU. So I don't really know if I care too much to see what Loki's going to be getting up to. I mean, it could be really cool, it could be really interesting and really fun and different. I just don't really know if I care personally all too much about it. Coming in at number 6 is WandaVision. Now, WandaVision, all these ones now from this point upwards, I'm all incredibly excited about. WandaVision, for me, kind of like what I said about Wonder Woman in my DC anticipated ranking, is, it's just so close now. It's literally coming out in December, I believe, so it's very, very close now. But my thing with WandaVision is, while it looks incredibly wacky and different and kind of wild for Marvel, I also don't really know what the show is about, necessarily. And that's why I'm struggling to get as hyped about it as I am for these other series. It's because I don't know really what this show is about. Like, what's the story of it? What's it trying to tell? Like, I know that this obviously is about Wanda and Vision, living together in some kind of ideal, perfect harmony. But where does that come from? Is this in her head? Is this some alternate reality? We know that in some way this show is going to tie into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and this is also going to basically break open the multiverse, it seems. So the wider ramifications of the show are very exciting and very interesting, but the show itself, I don't know how it's actually going to fare, and I don't know what it's actually going to do and what it's actually going to be about. So for me, WandaVision could go either way. I could either really, really like the show, or it could just be fine for me. So that's why it's at the place that it is on my list. Now, bringing us into the top 5 is Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, I think, could be a really great show for the MCU. Like, this is a character that people have been waiting to be introduced for a while now. Miss Marvel has become such an incredibly popular character in recent years, particularly in the comics, you know, with the Young Avengers and stuff like that, and then recently with the Avengers video game from Square Enix, where she was kind of the primary protagonist. Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, has just become an incredibly popular character, and one that people have wanted to see on screen for a while, and I think that this show could be really great. You know, I think Marvel has had great success with its younger characters, particularly when you look at the Spider-Man franchise, what they did with that. It worked really well, having this really young version of Peter Parker on screen, and I think the same logic can be applied with Kamala Khan. And also the actress they've chosen to portray her seems super incredibly passionate about the role. Obviously, she's kind of an unknown, but she is really excited about it. I think an unknown was kind of the right way to go for this character. And I think that Miss Marvel, she's super unique. She's got a really incredibly different power set from what we've seen in the MCU thus far. I think she could be a really great addition to the MCU. And again, a really heartfelt, really cultured story that I cannot wait to see unfold on Disney+. In at number 4, we have She-Hulk. Now, She-Hulk is a show that I think could be really cool for the MCU, because this is a character that is very, very different. I know I've seen a lot of people complain online, and that a lot of people don't really like the idea of She-Hulk because they don't really like these kind of spin-off characters, you know, where it's like, oh, this is a hero that already exists, but it's the female version, you know, and stuff like that. But the thing with She-Hulk for me is that I think that this character could be really cool for the MCU, because I really enjoy superhero stories where superheroes have to also live a normal life and also have to portray their normal life, you know, in day-to-day society. And I think that that is what we're going to see with She-Hulk. Of course, she's a lawyer, and we know that she kind of has to be a lawyer still while in her Hulk form. That is exciting to me. I think that's really cool, you know, because it's very different in superhero stuff when you see, you know, the character having to do their day job or, you know, their daily life and then having to leave that to do the hero stuff. But in this, it's kind of be a combination of the two, as she's going to be in her Hulk form while also still having to do her lawyer work. That is really cool to me. Also, it seems like Mark Ruffalo is actually going to have a kind of a role in here in some extent, so that's cool. Again, it connects it to the wider universe and actually makes it connect to the Hulk character. So I'm really excited about She-Hulk. I think it's actually kind of underrated among this slate, and I think it could be a real surprise hit. Coming in at number 3 is Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight is one that when it was announced back at the Phase 4 slate, I was like, perfect, because Moon Knight was a show that I really wanted back when Marvel was working with Netflix. Of course, when we had shows like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist, and The Punisher, Moon Knight seemed like a character that just made perfect sense to go into that universe, because he's an incredibly dark character for Marvel, and one that would have just fit so well into that darker, you know, sort of pocket Netflix Marvel universe. But now he's coming into Disney+, and I think that this is going to be such a different show for Marvel, and so incredibly different, tonally, visually. I think it's just going to be a different style of comic book television that we've not seen before. And what we recently got was the casting of Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, which is just an incredible, incredible piece of casting that I cannot wait to see actually unfold on screen. You know, Oscar Isaac is very friendly with Disney at this point after being in all 3 of the sequel trilogy Star Wars films as Poe Dameron. It kind of made sense for him to kind of move into a Marvel role, so seeing him on Disney Plus as Moon Knight I think is absolutely ideal, perfect, excellent casting. And on top of that, the series director and the creator of the Umbrella Academy series is actually being the showrunner here for Moon Knight, which is just so great. I loved the first season of the Umbrella Academy. I've actually not seen season 2 yet myself, but I loved the first season, so that's already a perfect start. My runner-up, though, for my most anticipated Marvel Disney Plus series is Hawkeye. Now, Hawkeye is a very, very personal pick for me, because Hawkeye is just always a character that I've loved. I've always enjoyed the character of Hawkeye in both, you know, all the Avengers films and, you know, the role he had in Civil War and stuff like that. I just think Hawkeye was a really cool character, and for me personally, I've always had a fascination with archers. Ever since I was young, I didn't even know what it was. I've just always had a fascination with archers, and that even extends to today, because I still love Hawkeye as a character. Of course, my favorite TV series of all time is Arrow. I love the character of the Green Arrow, so I'm really excited about the Hawkeye series, because I feel like this is going to be Marvel's version of Arrow. As I said, Arrow is my favorite show of all time, so Marvel kind of doing an Archer TV series I think is great. We never got a Hawkeye movie, so to get a Hawkeye TV series is just 2 big thumbs up from me. Like, I'm so there for that. And also, this show is going to be introducing someone new. We know that this show is going to be introducing Kate Bishop, and it seems very much like the Marvel Universe is setting up for the Young Avengers, of which Kate Bishop is the leader of, and we know that it seems very, very likely at this point that Haley Steinfeld, who I adore, is going to be playing Kate Bishop, and I am just so here for this. Like, this seems like the most tailor-made Marvel Disney Plus series for me. Again, It's about Hawkeye, it's about archers, and Haley Steinfeld is playing Kate Bishop. I couldn't ask for more with Hawkeye, so I'm very, very excited about the show. I cannot wait to see what they do with it. And again, the fact that we're just getting more Hawkeye, like post-Endgame, I'm very, very excited about, and I'm totally here for the show. I cannot wait for it whenever it eventually comes out, because it is going to be easily one of my favorite projects from Marvel in the next few years. My most anticipated show among the Marvel Disney Plus slate, however, is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is just so exciting. When they announced the first initial lineup of the shows that we could be getting from Marvel on Disney Plus, this was just an instant standout. I mean, these two characters are so great together. You know, when you look at them in Civil War particularly, their dynamic was so funny and so exciting, you know, because they just kind of hated each other, and it was really funny to watch that because they were forced to work together. And then you have that concept coming into the show, and having that relationship being the foundation of it is really cool. Also, what I love about this show is that it's basically a Captain America TV series. You know, I love the Captain America films. They are easily my favorite, like, standalone films in the MCU. I love that trilogy. I love all three of them. So to see a kind of Captain America-based TV series, you know, even without Captain America in it himself necessarily, is really cool. We know that they're actually bringing back Baron Zemo to actually portray the more comic book accurate version of that character, which I think is so exciting they're bringing him back. Like, Daniel Bruhl is actually coming back as Zemo. I never would have imagined that. Also, Sharon Carter is coming back as well, which is really exciting. And we also have some really new characters, like US Agent is coming into it as well, played by Wyatt Russell. There just seems to be a really interesting story going on here, and I think the action's going to be top-notch in this series. It's going to connect to the wider Marvel Universe in a big way, and also this should finally answer the question of who is going to become the new Captain America. Is it going to be Sam, or is it going to be Bucky? It's going to be answered in this show, and I think that that's how this series is going to end, is we're going to see whoever it is as the new Captain America. So I'm very, very excited about this series. I think it could be an incredible one, and one that I think everybody, every MCU fan from any age can get on board with. So there you have it, guys. There's my personal ranking of all 8 upcoming Marvel Disney Plus series, from my least anticipated to my most anticipated. What's your list? Make sure you leave it in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I can't wait to discuss it with you in the comments down below, because this is definitely going to be a very different list from a lot of different people, and also I think everyone's going to have their own opinion, so let's discuss it in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more Marvel content, movie content, and TV content just like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me, and I hope to see you guys again next time.